What's up, guys? Jeff Cavaliere, ATHLEAN-X.com. A little late on the video this week. I apologize, but you can see I'm not in my normal surroundings here. I am in a hotel out here in San Diego. The MLB Major League Baseball Winter Meetings, ATHLEAN-X. We got a great opportunity this year to present our RX supplement lineup to the strength coaches in Major League Baseball, as they are now NSF certified for sport, which is a major distinction. I think that talks about the quality of what we do and how dedicated we are to the science behind what we do. And we're out here just talking to the guys about it. But in the meantime, every time I get a chance and get together with this guy right here, this is Slate. He's the director of strength and conditioning for the Atlanta Braves. He was my mentor for during my time with the New York Mets for 3 seasons. This guy and I were basically attached at the hip. And we just always love getting together and talking about strength and conditioning. I mean, it's what we do, it's what we love, it's what we breathe. So I figured I would be a little bit late on the video, but be able to make up for that by bringing this guy in for just a quick talk. We'll go over a few topics. I think the one thing I wanted to hit on the most is one thing that you and I have been talking about more than anything in these last 2 days, and that is there's no replacing rest and recovery when it comes to helping guys, especially natural drug-free guys, get bigger, get stronger, perform better, right? So that being said, what is it that, and Rick, like I said, Rick is still now working with every level of the Atlanta Braves, lots of athletes, guys that are performing their time. What is it about rest and recovery? I tell these guys all the time, you can either train hard or you can train long, but you can't do both. Some guys still debate that. Yeah. What is it that you find?
I think the number one thing we're starting to see now in this industry, the last almost 3 years coming here in the winter meetings, is the common theme. We have outside professionals come in and speak to us, and the common theme has been about food, supplementation, and training, and managing that process of overtraining and managing the fatigue. Playing 162 until we've experienced as support staff, and you can understand how grinding it is. So to see what the players go through, and this is a very high volume sport, thousands and thousands upon repetition, and we have a more is better mentality. So my job coming into the Braves is to create a vertical model, not only in the training component, but the rest and recovery, food, supplementation component. And what I wanted to do is seek out the best supplements possible. Number one goal, NSF. If it's not NSF certified, we can't have it within our walls. And then come up with training protocols that are safe, sound, and productive, that are baseball first approach to optimize the opportunities that our young athletes have and get them the best possible supplements to promote the recovery process. And joint mechanics is something that we're starting to really get an understanding about the value of joint integrity, range of motion, quality workouts. It's not about quantity on our side of it.
I mean, the whole thing about joint mechanics and movement, that was the essence of my presentation here today, was about the fact that when you have pain, and pain will come from inflammation, and inflammation will come from overtraining, you will alter your mechanics of your movements. I don't care if it's an athletic movement or if it's a simple exercise in the weight room. You're going to alter your biomechanics. When you do that, you shift loads to in two different ways. One, you shift them away from the muscles that are supposed to be doing the exercise or the activity in the first place. So you become inefficient in that activity, and you underdevelop the muscles that you're trying to target in the first place. The second thing you do is you shift those loads to joints that are usually equipped to handle them. So a perfect example, I always say, like in a squat, if you have a bad knee, you try to squat, you shift that load away from the quads because you just can't handle it. You lack the strength in your quads. You shift it to your low back. Your low back takes on too much force that it cannot handle. The low back breaks down, then guess what? We perpetuate that cycle over and over again. The more is better, you mentioned that in your response. I have a lot of guys watching that, especially that haven't trained for all that long, the ones that haven't trained for all that long, that think the way I did, I know I did as a younger guy, that more is better. I mean, it was so ridiculous. Where I used to literally do sets throughout the day before I went out, thinking that if I could pump up a couple sets, you know, before I went out with all these guys doing super jackass things, you know. But like thinking that ultimately that was going to be a good thing, I was completely just pounding myself into the ground. But some guys, I mean, that more is better. I mean, more is better mentality has to change.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do here with a player. Look, understand what we're trying to do is create routines to help their careers and to lengthen their careers, and for them to receive all the benefits of that long career. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we do that? Through food and supplementation, sleep management, hydration, getting proper supplementations at the proper time, and understanding that joint integrity, as you talked about through weight training, when you make that compromise to move away from pain, that same thing happens when you start altering your delivery or altering your swing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You're going down a very vicious cycle.
You can also learn bad movement patterns and habits
no
too,
question,
so that there's no
question.
turning back once you go down that.
Then you go into a hitting slump, or then all of a sudden you're not locating your fastball or your changeup or commanding your pitches as you should, because you're moving away from joint pain. And in the big scheme of things, you start looking at the length of careers and the financial components of these careers. Joint integrity is going to be a real important component of how we can lengthen and get a guy back to playing effectively when he's 34, 35, 36, 37.
Well, I say too, you know, it's not just, you know, people focus on, if you are focusing on recovery in the first place, that's a great thing, because we know how important it is, but people ignore the joint component of that.
No question.
And I say, guys, look, the muscles that connect to the bones via the tendons, they cross the joints, so the joints are just as important as muscle recovery. It's all one complete picture, as we always talk about here at ATHLEAN-X. We got to look at the whole. So a good question would be, because this is a common question, what is the value of supplementation? So I'll tell you my quick answer that I always tell these guys are, supplementation is just that. It's supplementation. You better be supplementing efficient, high-intensity training with a good diet. You cannot, guys, supplementation is supplementation. However, there are things that you will supplement with, especially some of the things that we've discussed here in the winter meetings, that are unobtainable through your own nutrition. At least in the dosages that has been proven to be effective for the purpose that we're trying to do. But what is your stance?
I mean, look, the most important thing that I've learned, I want to train and be efficient for as long as I possibly can. And from an athletic standpoint, it doesn't matter what sport you play.
Yeah, or even if these guys aren't even playing sports, or
people
just working
that just
out.
love golf. I mean, it's the sport of working out, like you said. You want to be able to. I want to be able to squat something when I'm 70. I want to be able to do a pull up and push up and be functional and mobile when I'm 70. So it's that old statement: is if I knew back then what I know now, as far as the quality supplementation, what's available, I'm going to be a pretty mobile and efficient person. As I get into my senior years, and young people don't see that journey yet. And everyone out there has heard it.
Oh yeah.
But you got to live it and experience it, and then get to that age where it's like taking quality supplements, getting quality food, getting quality rest. Something we heard a great presentation on, and what that can do for you. So you're developing a routine, whether you're a professional athlete, you're a weekend athlete, or you just love to train. And that routine is food, good supplementation, good sleep, and what sleep can do for you. And obviously having great training programs that manage loads at appropriate time, appropriate levels, appropriate frequencies, and you tie all that in together, you have an opportunity to train for the rest of your life at a real high quality level, and live a functional, prosperous life when you get to where we are, as far as being able to be impactful.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I remember one time being in a gym at college, and there was an older professor who was working out there. He was in incredible shape, And I remember going up to him and saying, "What do you do? He said, "What do I do? I am consistent." He said, "I've been consistent at this for the last 25 years." He says, "This to me is a lifelong journey."
Yeah.
And I think the reason why we're here now, the reason why I'm still here, even though I'm not directly involved with the New York Mets, on a day-to-day basis like I used to be with Rick. I'm still involved in the game. I'm still involved in how I can contribute to improving the athletes' journeys, as we just talked about, because I feel like this is it's a super critical concept to understand, and more people have to understand this whole picture, this complete picture of rest and recovery, and this complete picture of training and nutrition. And that being said, guys, I always tell you, it's all about that three-pronged component, and this whole weekend was all about that three-pronged component being discussed amongst the best strength coaches in the world.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. That's always going to be the case.
That's right.
I try to put that all together for you guys in our ATHLEAN-X system. That's all about those three prongs, and I give you guys progressions to try to do exactly what Rick said. Progress you from day 1 to day 2 to day 3 in the manner that you need to manage your overall volumes and manage your overall stresses, so that you're not doing too much and your body can't recover from it. And we kind of wrap it all together. And of course, we have our ATHLEAN-Rx supplements that really, I feel, bolster that process and make you enhance your recovery, especially, again, if we're talking about drug-free athletes. If you haven't already even heard about our ATHLEAN-Rx supplements or joint mechanics specifically, which is what I was presenting on this weekend, head to ATHLEAN-Rx.com and you can check all those out. And of course, our 90-day training plan that kicks off as AX1, that's available at ATHLEAN-X.com too. In the meantime, Rick, him and I always enjoy our opportunities to get together. We're off to the Cheesecake Factory, which is pretty much par for the course wherever we are in a town that has one for dinner. But you'll see more of this guy. We're going to be doing some more stuff together in the future here, especially as we build out our RX supplement line. And I think we're pretty excited about it. But anything else you got to say?
I just, look, understanding where we are in the professional sports, having a NSF quality product, what you have gone out and created is vital to our success in athletics, in all athletics. And when you start going down that path of using the three things we talked about, food, training, and supplementation, it gets me excited to realize that the qualityness of what we're trying to do on these three areas that can really get diluted and get really confusing for a lot of people, that it's really simple. I tell my athletes all the time, and our front office, it's really simple what we do, but it's not easy.
Right.
And as soon as they can grasp that and start really taking control of their decisions, of making safe, sound, and productive decisions, it's an unbelievable journey to be able to train the levels at which we try to get our athletes to train in, and they recover and come back and want more.
Yeah. That's
what makes it really special and exciting.
All right, guys. So again, that's it. Hopefully, you definitely found the messages here to be very consistent in that you can't overlook any one of those components, and you got to make sure at all costs you're respecting rest and recovery if you're trying to build muscle, if you're trying to improve your physique, if you're trying to improve your performance, if you are a natural athlete. And I think that's the key. All right, guys, make sure if you like this video, leave your comments and thumbs up below. See you soon.